It doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares?
Doesn't matter. You don't need to
The
operations.
gate is no longer bubbled. There is a retribution sitting on gate, but the rest of the fleet's about 200 off.
200.
We're doing this. People.
I just undocked. I'm slow. I'm sorry.
You're all good if you're just joining us. Don't get caught by the Bifrost and warp 2 ping. If you are in a Tech 1 tackle frigate, I want you to be looking out for things like Bifrosts and Storks. Those things, if you see them, I want you to just scram them and get real close to them and don't let them move.
Nothing on the gate anymore. They went up to a ping above the gate, but the main fleet is still about 200 off.
Everybody line down. Line down, guys. Line down. I want everybody to reload to spike. Reload to spike. And everybody to reload spike. If you have damage drones, you put them on primary. If you have ECM drones, you put them on Logi. Take the sweet orb, hold on the gate.
The tackle is warping to the gate.
Range? Gate's red, guys. Gate's red. What range, roughly?
0.
Okay, everybody jump in. Jump in. Jump, jump, jump.
Main fleet is still off, but there's like 2 or 3 tackle.
Hold your cloaks, hold your cloaks. Everybody's jumping in and holding your cloaks. They can land on their own bubble. Alright, decloak, decloak props on, decloak props on. Logi lock me up. Logi lock me up. Caracal Cryos is primary. Caracal Cryos is primary, lock him up. Lock me up, Logi lock me up. They're starting to broadcast me. Yeah.
We got you.
Reps on Baller. Lock up Johan. Damage on Cryos. Johan's your secondary. Lock up Tyrus in the Caracal. Alright, stop shooting now. We're gonna stop shooting now. Reload to thorium, everyone, whatever you're doing, reload to thorium. Reload to thorium. When you're finished reloading to thorium, shoot Tyrus in the Caracal. When you're finished reloading to thorium, shoot Tyrus in the Caracal. Lock up Jack. Jack in the Caracal. Jack is your secondary. Your primary is Tyrus. Lock up Rygar. Jack is your primary in the Caracal. Lock up Rygar. Roger. We're going to heat DPS for 3 cycles. Shoot Jack, guys. Shoot Jack in the Caracal. All drones out. Everything on Jack. Secondary Rygar. Thank you. All damage on Jack. When he goes down, we're shooting to Rygar. Lock up Gavin. Shoot Rygar. Lock up Gavin.
Guys, you need to heat hardness if you can,
Yep.
guys.
Heat your hardness if you're getting shot. All damage on Rygar.
We're splitting DPS.
All damage on Rygar, guys. All damage on Rygar. Alright, red cycle. All damage on Gavin. All damage on Gavin in the Caracal. Unlock Rygar. Lock up Armin. Armin is your primary in the Caracal. Lock up Tad in the Caracal. Armin is your primary. Tad is your secondary. You can delock old broadcasts. Tad is your secondary. Scratch that. ZYZ in the Scythe is your secondary. All damage on Armin. Lock up Thorn in the Scythe. Alright, red cycle everything. Thorn is your primary in the Scythe. Thorn is your primary. Your secondary is XYZ.
Do we have smart bombs? We need them on the large displays.
All damage on Thorn. Secondary XYZ. Unlock old Caracals.
Being warped.
All damage on XYZ. All damage on XYZ. Lock up WRE in the Scythe. XYZ is your primary. Secondary is Rev. After that, we're going to go back to Caracals. Lock up Armin. Alright, red cycle everything. Red cycle everything. Reload to antimatter. Reload to antimatter. Reload to antimatter. I'll hold all DPS right now. Reload to antimatter. We're shooting WREV in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cycle and Rev in the Scythe. Lock up Armin. Armin's your secondary in the Caracal.
Not back in if we reshift.
Do it. Yep. When this guy dies, we're going to shoot Armin. Alright, we're going to broadcast a few more dudes. Lock up Tad. Lock up Tad in the Caracal. Red cycle, red cycle. Lock up Tad. Roger.
Buster is scrammed.
It's okay.
Saber.
All damage on Armin in the Caracal. All damage on Armin in the Caracal. Lock up Theronin in the Caracal. Logi, I'm just going to burn to you. Shoot Armin, guys. Shoot Armin.
Copy.
All damage on Armin. Theronin secondary. Alright, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, everything. All damage on Theronin in the Caracal. Look up that Osprey. Osprey is your secondary. When this Caracal goes down, we're reloading to Thorium. Alright, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, everything, red cycle, everything. Reload to Thorium. Reload to Thorium now. Reload to Thorium now. You're going to lock up D-Scan Muncher broadcast. Lock him up only. Lock up only. We're not shooting anything right now, guys. We're not shooting anything. Alright, fire on that Scythe I broadcasted. And he's too far. He's too far. I'm sorry. He's way too off. Lock up VIS in the Caracal. VIS in the Caracal. Lock him up. VIS is your primary. Your secondary is... Let me find something better. Sophia. Sophia. You should have thorium loaded. After that, lock up Richard in the Caracal. Sophia is your secondary. All damage on Visrash. Good job. All damage on Sophia. All damage on Sophia. All damage on Sophia. So your secondary is Richard in the Caracal. Your secondary is Richard in the Caracal. Look up D-Scan Muncher again in the Scythe. Look up D-Scan Muncher in the Scythe. Stand Sophia for a second. Good job. Shoot D-Scan Scythe. Shoot the Scythe D-Scan. No, he's burning off. Red cycle on that. Red cycle. No, stay on him. He turned around. I'll stay on him. Stay on him. Stay on him. Look up Scythe Rev. Look up Scythe Rev. Rev in the Scythe is your secondary. All damage on Rev in the Scythe. We're doing good, guys. We're doing good. All damage on Rev in the Scythe.
If you die, reshoot and come back.
Look up Osprey broadcast. Look up Osprey broadcast. That's your primary. 2EC. 2EC. When this guy dies, I want you to reload to antimatter. When this Osprey dies, I want you to reload to antimatter. And then shoot that Caracal Data Fiend. Lock up a Hev. Hev is your secondary. Data Fiend is your primary. And you should have antimatter loaded. Stay on Data Fiend, guys. We're doing good. Have God in the Osprey is your secondary. Look up Murmok in the Osprey too. Alright, red cycle, everything. He's out of our optimals. He's out of our optimals. Switch to Have God. Everything on Have God in the Osprey. Look up Daggerath in the Osprey. Look up Daggerath. He's your secondary. Daggerath is your secondary broadcast. Red cycle, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle everything. Shoot Daggerath. Red cycle everything. Shoot Daggerath. Look up Caracal Dark Knight. Look up Caracal Dark Knight. Daggerath is your primary in the Osprey. Alright, red cycle, red cycle, red cycle. Dark Knight is your primary. You should have antimatter loaded. Dark Knight is your primary in the Caracal. Your secondary is THE in the Caracal. THE, THE. Shoot THE in the Caracal. Shoot THE in the Caracal. Your secondary is TAD. Secondary TAD, primary THE. Never mind, he's pretty much pulling too much range. Look up that scythe, XYZ. XYZ is your primary, XYZ is your primary. When that scythe dies, you're switching to thorium. When that scythe dies, you're switching to thorium.
Switching ammo.
Good job, switch ammo, everybody switch ammo. Leonardo is your primary once you've finished switching to thorium. Your secondary is EDY. EDY is your secondary. EDY is your secondary. Leonardo is your primary. Or yeah, EDE is fine. EDE, just shoot EDE.
Down.
The Orion, THE is your primary. Look up Armin. Armin's your secondary. You should have antimatter loaded. New broadcast, Batu. Batu is your new secondary. Batu is your new secondary.
They're in Solby.
All damage on Batu. All damage on... he's getting a little too far. Lock up that Caracal. ISC is your new primary.
Molly Lodge's
Lodge's jammed, FC.
What's that?
They're killing Lodgy.
Roger.
I'm jamming too, they're Ospreys, FC.
Thank you. Caracal the Orion's your primary. Caracal the Orion is your primary. People is your secondary. Propel is your secondary, sorry. All damage on the Orion. Let's heat 3 cycles. Heat 3 cycles of damage. All damage on the people. All damage on the people in the Caracal. Your secondary is Fly Die Now. Fly Die Now is your secondary. People is your primary. Rob is your secondary. Shoot Fly Die Now. Rob is your secondary. After that, Chip. Tip is your secondary. Rob is your primary. Tip is your secondary.
FC, oh, look, he's dead.
Roger. We're going to the end, guys. We're not getting out of here. Lock up Richard. Lock up Richard. All damage on Chip in the Caracal. All damage on Chip in the Caracal. If you get primary, do you guys get heat hardeners? All damage on Chip in the Caracal. Richard's your secondary. Lock up Matt. Matt's your secondary. All damage on Richard. Vargan call. I'm ECM to Vargan call.
Yeah, guys, that's fine. Just stay on the last target. Matt. After Matt, it's going to be Armin. Broadcast. Good job. Now on to Armin. Armin's your green primary.
Thank you, Vargan. Finton's your secondary. Finton's your secondary. When Armin dies, you're shooting Finton.
The Lodge is still jammed, FC.
Thank you.
switching to Vinton.
Shoot Vinton. Your secondary is Frenchie. After that, lock up Sloss.
Out to Frenchie.
Shoot Frenchie, guys, shoot Frenchie. Lock up Caracal Richard, he just warped in. Richard is your secondary, Richard is your secondary. Decycle everything, shoot Richard, shoot Richard. I don't care what HP that Caracal's at, shoot Richard. Everything on Richard. Good job. Reload thorium, reload thorium, reload thorium. Lock up Tad. Once you finish reloading, Tad's your primary. Mia's your secondary. Damn it, they just burned right back into us. It's fine. Shoot Tad, shoot Tad. Mia's your secondary. Mia's your secondary. Now shoot Mia, shoot Mia. Frenchie is your secondary. Everything on Mia. Look up that Bellicose. Bellicose is your new secondary. Scratch that. Shoot the Bellicose. Everything, just shoot the Bellicose. Shoot the Bellicose. Look up that Saber next to us. Look up that Saber. And lock up this Carries. When this Bellicose dies, we're switching to Antimatter. When this Bellicose dies, we're switching to Antimatter. The Saber is your secondary.
Saber's drifted out of antimatter.
Roger. Alright, it's fine. Just stay Antimatter. Just stay Antimatter.
The carry's trying to burn away.
Roger. Lock up this Caracal. Caracal's your primary. Caracal's your primary. Vark and call. Anything small.
Say again.
Shoot anything squishy. Call. I'm jammed.
Alright.
Alright, if that Caracal went down, your secondary.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Jammed again. Go again.
Okay, it's going to be Captain. Make sure you got thorium loaded. Yep. Bay is not going down. Getting into long ranges now on most of the squishies. Huang Li in the Osprey. Huang Li in the Osprey is at a good range for thorium. Switch to him now. New broadcast. Huang Li in the Osprey.
We don't have much time.
So many good baller.
Roger. Your secondary.
Good job, guys.
Secondary Bifrost. Secondary Bifrost. Ultra. No, he warped.
Osprey down. Okay. Broadcasting another
Yep.
Osprey. XYZ. XYZ, a good range from it.
Warping back into jam more ospreys.
Secondary Feeder. Secondary Feeder. I'm good, Varg.
Okay, back to baller.
We have thorium, right?
If we wanna-
We're in thorium, right?
If
Yep,
we want to kill
thorium.
their lodge, you do it now.
Roger.
FC, you have only 2 signs left.
We're going to the end. We can't get out alive.
Doing great, guys. Keep going.
Kill the expensive shit.
XYZ's holding. Let's switch.
Look up this Hawk. Look up this Hawk. Reload Antimatter. Look up that Hawk. Reload Antimatter. Red cycle everything, guys. Red cycle everything. Red cycle everything. In 3, 2, 1. Shoot the Hawk. Shoot the Hawk. Secondary Saber. Saber's your secondary. Saber's your secondary. Alright. Switch to the Saber. Switch to the Saber I broadcast. Look up unnamed.
Ospreys.
Lock up unnamed in the Saber. Shoot ACH in the Saber. ACH in the Saber. Alright. Alright guys, we are going to the end. Keep your props on.
break then.
Stay on him, stay on him, stay on him. Let's heat, let's heat, let's heat. Unnamed sabers are secondary. Unnamed sabers are secondary.
I'm jammed out.
Decycle everything, shoot the other saber. Unnamed saber. Look up that Tyrannus, Tyrannus secondary. Unnamed saber primary. That Tyrannus, he's kind of burning away still.
Breaking unnamed. Stay on.
Yep, stay on, stay on. Let's heat if we can, heat if we can. Good job.
Got him.
Shoot that scepter I broadcasted.
He's bailed.
Lock up that slicer. Reload thorium. Reload thorium. Lock up that slicer. Reload thorium. Lock up that slicer. Fire on that slicer. Fire on that slicer. After that, good job.
Slice it down.
Yep. Lock up that retribution next to us. Look up that retribution next to us. That retribution's primary. Just shoot him. Shoot that retribution as soon as you guys can. Don't reship. This is gonna be over in a few minutes.
Follow your outside bubbles if you want to get out.
Sure. Take the sweet orb, guys. Props off. I'm staying. No, I'm out actually. Alright guys, when you land, all links red, Line to fucking whatever Astra House is here. We have aggression, guys. Yeah. Guys, warp yourselves to that right now. Warp yourselves there right now, guys. This probe's out. Warp yourselves to that Astra House. Guys, get safe, do everything you can to get safe. We still have people alive. What a bloodbath.
That was awesome.
Yeah, they had like 20 more Caracals than we had Moas, but...
How many Ospreys do they have?
More than us.
And they have TT Logi also.
Yeah, give them a good fight, guys. That was well fought and very hard. I'm glad we took it.
Those douches were killer on Logi.
Yeah.
We got pushed the second time. After we got pushed the second time, we